It's been a day, stressing out like crazy. Just wanna be lazy with my girls. It's been a day, we gonna get wavy. Layer on some diamonds and some pearls. Maybe we could go to the mall, get our nails done, get our hair done, we fly. Maybe we could holler at the boys, looking so good, whistle when they walk by. Cause we know what they want, but we just laugh. Yeah, we won't let them get away with that. We walk tall, our heads held high. Cause we so motherfucking fly. Yeah, wings of gold, we touch the sky. Bad bitches till we die. We so fly. Just to show how we get down. It's been a night, we know how to party. Dancing like there's no one else around. You know I be looking so fine, body like mine, wearing these boots thigh high. Bitches in the corner with wine, staring cause we never get stuck in line. We can't help it, we just look so snide. Oh, we look so good. Yeah, we're the ones the boys are looking at. We walk tall, our heads held high. Cause we so motherfucking fly. Yeah, wings of gold, we touch the sky. Bad bitches till we die. We so fly.
Take a nigga up like on the trail, spree well, yeah. I do about you. And my baby's starting to cry cause she don't know how to change it. All outside is free. Oh, I got
Hello, and welcome back to music. I'm Alexis.
I said
Jesse.
we should be weirder again. That's not what I meant.
You are the audience, we are the music, and this is the LiSTENiN podcast, the only podcast where we come together to satisfy your burning urge for us, and to a lesser degree, new music.
You sound like an anime character.
And to an even lesser degree, are rambling about said music. But one thing remains true, which is that you're burning, and we highly advise musical attention. On the show, we introduce music we're loving and giving us those nice, warm, burning sensations. And look at our faces. We are so excited to bring this music to you, the audience. Leave us comments. We'll read them. Join the conversation. Thank you for coming, and we hope you enjoy your stay.
This is
Hi.
why you tune into the live stream and not just watch the song videos.
I think I might have to crop that out and post it as its own video
Please
and
do.
make it the main video on our channel. It was incredible. You didn't break character once.
Oh,
Hello, everybody.
Hi, I'm Kay. I was too dumbfounded to
back to regular
introduce
Alexis.
myself.
In a world where Alexis is a movie announcer.
That was so good. Do that again.
Me?
What?
Or Alexis?
Yeah.
In a
No, I
world.
think
Well,
Jesse.
all of the above, but like, yeah, we have like two very different anime trailers happening at the same time. I'm not good enough at voices for that.
I'm a little too good at voices.
I appreciate that dedication.
Well, music has come back to all of us. And,
Music has come back to all of us.
We've taken a little break.
2 live artists in the last week, and that was cool.
Oh. And who were these two?
I saw We Three, who is a sibling trio band, last Sunday. Although, to be honest, we were so exhausted. April and I were so exhausted when we got home on Sunday we were traveling, that we were like, oh, we shouldn't go. And we decided at 8:40 p.m. that we were going to go. The concert technically started at 8. We got there at 8:57, and the headliner started at 9. It was like perfect timing. We walked in the doors. We had 2 minutes to wait, and then the headliner was there. We stayed for an hour, and then we left because we were tired. But no, they were pretty good. It's a pop band. I think they were on America's Got Talent, but I didn't know that until they said it to the audience. I know 2 songs of theirs that I really like. Yeah. And then I saw Polyphia Friday night, and they were incredible.
A little bit
as
of a
Polyphia
lesser
can
known
be.
group, I'm
Right,
guessing,
yeah.
between the two.
Yeah, for sure. Different audiences, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but they were awesome. They were
Sweet.
funny. I was surprised that Tim, the lead guitarist in Polyphia, who does most of their promo outside of he seems to do most of the promo. He's the one being interviewed, right? He did not speak a single word on stage. Not a single word. It was like the song would end and he would disappear. And then he'd come out for the next song.
Did he ever gesture to communicate things? Just nothing.
Not a single word. Very,
Wow.
very serious. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really surprised because he does so much front manning outside of that. That it was interesting, but I get their names mixed up. I don't know if it's a Clay or if it's the Scott that is the other guitarist, but he was the one who did all the talking, and he was pretty funny too. So he had good stage presence.
Cool.
And at the end, they ran over and he picked Tim up in the air, and that was the first time I saw Tim smile the entire night.
Aw.
So, but yeah, it was fun.
Cool.
That's my update.
Sweet.
Life updates with Kay.
Yeah. I haven't heard of We Three before, and it's cool hearing about them. I mean, I could have been fooled the entire time. You could have told me it was the 3rd iteration of the Nintendo Wii, and I would have believed you. I was like, wow, Nintendo's really killing it out there.
We 3.0.
Yeah.
I'll have to post their song I really like in the. I don't think I'll probably bring them to an episode, but I'll post it in our Discord.
Yeah, I'll look forward to it. Because, like, you said we three, and, like, for some reason, something about that name just really sounds, like, very K-pop to me. So to hear it's not K-pop, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, they're like pop rock. The lead singer kind of reminds me of, like, if an early 2000s pop punk, like bubblegum pop punk singer
Oh.
became a now pop band singer. Which is definitely a sound that I liked a lot at some point in my life, and it's not a sound that I super love now. So it can get a little
Like the Killers or like
no,
Avril,
no, like
Paramore,
bubblegum pop punk, like
like
thinking more.
Ramones.
Maybe I have the wrong time frame. Maybe mid 2000s. I don't know. I don't know times or genres, so I probably shouldn't have tried to do that at all.
Okay.
But like sort of like could have fit in but doesn't sound like the Panic, Fall Out Boy, that generation. My Chemical Romance.
Okay, got it.
What year was that? Mid 2000s?
2005-ish.
Yeah, it's like 2005,
Mid.
2006.
Okay, mid 2000s bubblegum pop punk.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe the Killers too. I'm not a big fan.
Strong words from Kay.
Uh-huh.
My update is not at all music related. Some of y'all who watch, because you're my friends, already know. But I'm about to start a new job on tomorrow, Monday, working for NVIDIA as a generative AI analyst. Which my understanding is that we are going to teach the AI to answer questions intelligently without sounding like a sociopath. So that's yeah.
Cool.
It's exciting and scary because it's for the first time, like, this is like, oh, this is a job I care about having, and not just for the money. Like, I want a career in this company, maybe.
Right.
Whereas everything before was like, you're a minion, you do the things, get the money,
Yeah.
go home.
Right.
So opportunity. The Chinese characters for Crisis are a mixture of danger and opportunity. So it's
Whoa.
it's very very exciting, but also scary.
You're having a danger opportunity then?
Danger
Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah, that would be a good band name.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. That is really exciting though, and you know, I feel like it must feel pretty interesting to be like part of the frontline defense of like making sure that the AI revolution doesn't happen, you know? You're kind of like the one there that's like making sure things go in the right direction.
A new
little
meaning
bit.
of danger opportunity.
Yeah. Also being on the right side when they are going to like flip over and take over the world. Be like, oh, I remember Jesse. He was nice to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You better be nice to them.
Yeah.
Super
I
exciting.
don't know, that's exciting. I feel like it's easier to like get through the workday when it's something you enjoy and care about and are excited about.
Especially because
So I
I'm
think
gonna be
you'll
work
enjoy
from
it.
home, and the last time I did that, I hated my job, and it was so hard to get anything done. But now it's like, oh, I have to care. I do care. I'm going to like work hard. Yeah.
Excited for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Any updates from you, Alexis?
I've existed.
Woo!
Good.
Yeah.
A start?
Yeah. I wasn't prepared to talk about myself, so a lot of the stuff
You
is
don't
kind
have
of
to talk about
in the
yourself.
foreground. Someone from our chat, not present currently today, but someone from our chat, close friend of mine, sent me a care package from across the world. So that was really cool. I really like that. I got to eat some chocolate that I've never would have gotten the opportunity to, or the danger opportunity otherwise. If it was expired, you know, maybe. But it was really tasty. And got a like a keychain as well from Spain. So cool.
That's so cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. Literally with the chocolate.
Yeah.
For me,
That's
chocolate
the
is
power-
still a danger opportunity because I'm lactose intolerant. But
Yeah.
Just eat dark chocolate.
the darkest chocolate.
Yeah.
That's a Jenny's flavor. Oh, Jenny's is ice cream, for those who do not know.
Oh.
Jenny's ice cream is based in Ohio. Nashville
Jenny-
has the first most Jenny's locations outside of Ohio in any city. It's a fun fact for you.
I'll have to try it when I go
It's
to
very
Ohio,
good. They have
which
lots of
might
weird
not ever
flavors.
happen.
They're expanding, so you might find
Okay.
it somewhere else. Or
Okay.
they ship if you order it online, but it's expensive.
Ooh.
Because I gotta keep it cold.
Yes. A lot of dry ice involved. Plus, it's expensive anyway. It's all small batch ice cream.
Mm.
Mm.
All right.
Anyway.
Are
Music?
we ready for songs? Yeah, let's do the thing. I'm first. Here we go. Hello. We are Listen In, the music sharing live stream and podcast where we share songs you might not have heard already and hopefully will like when you hear them. I'm going to be sharing with you today a band called Penny and Sparrow. They are a singer-songwriter duo made up of Andy Baxter and Kyle Junk. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. From Austin, Texas, first formed in 2011. Their sound was originally inspired by artists such as Bon Iver, The Swell Season, and Mumford and Sons, but have since developed their own unique sound and have steadily released albums and EPs with a constantly evolving set of influences and palette changes. The song that I bring you today, Recuerda, was from their highly regarded album Finch, which was written during their first major break from the road in years. In content, it explores a reckoning and awakening from the perceptions of masculinity, sex, religion, friendship, and self that they had received growing up in the Deep South, a result of how touring as a band took them outside the bubble they grew up in. The album was also the first time the band had written and recorded remotely, a decision they made in order to spend as much time as possible with their family, given that Kyle lives in Austin, Texas, and Andy lives in Florence, Alabama. They say it was a freeing process and allowed them to take their time and work in a way that was comfortable, to trust their own instincts, and to be able to hear the work from the other when they were sharing with fresh ears and no preconceptions. The album is titled Finch, as a nod to Charles Darwin, who developed his theory of evolution in part by studying the changes that manifested over time in groups of birds that moved to different islands across the Galapagos. Quoting Andy Baxter, "We changed islands, and that in turn changed us in some truly beautiful ways." I hope this song will also change you in some truly beautiful ways. Here's Recuerda by Penny and Sparrow. Let's take a listen.
Right here, your breastbone, feel your chest go running in an open swing. Bury me underneath the tongue of some poet. You're thinking of Recuerda, Recuerda. We'll see, cradle my cheek, corazón y suerte. You tell me now, you are devout in a way that counts. I'll be your bloodhound, remember, remember. Don't know how to stay. Oh, I'm on a gray dog, one way. Honey, this is it. We can choose happy now, happy now, 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 now. Oh, we can choose happy now, 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 now. Oh, now, 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 now. So there will come a run of loving someone. It's a kind of singing, but bilingual now. Be learning how we can all swap mouths. Come lay your head down, remember, you sleep with an accent. You murmur out it. I listen, you talk. I memorize all I can You wanna learn the ones you love. Let everyone you love learn you. Whoever you're thinking of, hold on and mean it. I know a kiss was a summer song, but my stomach did memory follow. So I'll say that I can recall every lip taste and shake.
Well.
That's so pretty.
I'm glad you think so.
Just
Stomach
like-
is doing somersaults.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines.
Does the chorus only happen once?
Is it a chorus?
Is it a
the thing.
chorus? That's a good question.
Hold
Because
on.
the lyrics on Genius, which are like, community driven,
Yeah.
has that last verse as a verse, but I think it was a bridge. But then, yeah, is there a chorus?
I'm curious because, like, I'm looking at it now, and I kind of like interpreted that section more of like a refrain.
But it doesn't
Um,
refrain.
It doesn't need to have a chorus.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But I think it's interesting because so rarely do we hear songs that don't have one.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's parts that could function as a chorus because they're
Mm-hmm.
like there's a clear verse and then there's a part that's different and then there's a verse, but like the chorus doesn't repeat, and normally you have to have a repeat for the chorus
Yeah.
to be a chorus. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say like the honey, this is it. That for me would be maybe that would be a pre-chorus, and then the chorus would be na 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 na. We can choose happy now.
Maybe.
I sing this song, so like I cover it for funsies when in online karaoke, so like I know it pretty well. But yeah, it's just
Hmm.
good stuff.
I can actually kind of see that. Yeah. Because like the week and she's happy now felt like just a repeating refrain to me. The stuff before it, I can see that being like a pre-chorus, but yeah, looking at the week and she's happy now as the chorus, that makes sense to me too.
That's how I would hear it, but it doesn't repeat. So then, yeah, is it a chorus? Is I think the valid question.
Yeah.
Or is it just another section in a song that it's not following normal song sections?
Maybe the intention here was they want us to enable repeat on our music device, and it does repeat at that point.
That is the strategy for a
Big
lot.
brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's super pretty. I want to know what "you sleep with an accent" means.
Uh-huh.
Does anybody know what that
My
means?
interpretation of that is that this is, I mean, he's singing about a romantic partner who is bilingual, is Spanish speaking as their first language, and maybe talks in their sleep and
Mm,
has an accent when they do,
Mm.
but maybe not
mm,
when they talk normally.
Mm-hmm.
mm. Hmm.
Yeah, that was
One
that
of
was kind of my
those
first reading.
little specific details about a situation, but it's done really abstractly in a way
Mm.
that makes it really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the lyrical structure is very contemporary in terms of like it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily make sense if you think about it too much, but it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
and poetic and like you get details and like emotional content and it's nice. But like uh as some older generations have told me, I think I shared that story before, but like story like songs used to have stories that you could follow from
Mm-hmm.
beginning to end and now they don't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They do. It's a different genre.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like this does make sense when you. I feel like sometimes the lyrics don't make sense upon first literal reading. And then if you put more effort into, okay, I'm trying to understand what the artist was trying to say when they wrote this,
Mhm.
then you can get to some level
Mhm.
of sense.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I see that here with these, that they're like a little bit abstract and poetic in the way that they're written. And so in first read, it's a little bit like,
Mm.
what does "you sleep with an accent" mean? But the more you think about it, like you both pointed out, it does
Um,
come to a conclusion.
Donald Glover has this one of his stand-up sets. He talks about old school hip hop and how the lyrics are, "I went down to the hat store and I got myself a hat."
Yeah.
Right.
And things have changed up
Uh-huh.
now, so you might have to think a little more about it. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's uh,
Did you
Yeah.
go to the hat store and buy yourself a hat?
I don't really like wearing hats generally, unless it's to be
Mm.
silly.
Only
Silly
silly
hats are nice.
hats.
Only silly hats. Hmm. Uh, yeah, in terms of the lyrics, if we want to talk about that a little more, I feel like they're very intimate and romantic and very visual as well. Like the opening lyric, "My cheek, your breastbone," is like
Mm-hmm.
so specific and like it gives you that like intimate feeling of being with another person, and then
Mm-hmm.
um later on there's, "I listen, you talk, I memorize all I can hold." Like I really like that line in terms of
Mm-hmm.
communicating the sort of relationship of wanting to know everything about a person, wanting to like
Mm-hmm.
obsessing about the other person, but not in like a creepy sort of way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think yeah, it's I'm glad that you kind of like point that out because one of my notes here was like, man, this the lyrics of this song are like so um beautiful, descriptive, poetic. But another note that I had was like, when I listened to it a little bit more, the more I feel like sometimes it feels like it's teetering on being kind of creepy. And I feel like a lot of like songs like this, you know, toe that line sometimes.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes it's self-aware, and,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll play into it. I'm not going to make any claims on whether or not like this is creepy or not, but I'm just saying like there's something about like how thick the romantic atmosphere is, the sentiment of the song, the vibe, and then some of the lines, like "you sleep with an accent, you murmur, I heard it." It almost feels like you can kind of get that like it's a little creepy with like how like like how heavy the
mm.
like the romantic vibe is. Um, so if someone like came up to me and said like it's a little creepy, I was like, yeah, I kind of see it. Um, but I think to me like when I kind of like single out like certain lines. I can better feel the scenario or the situation that they're writing about. It feels more encompassing of something rather than just one person's point of view in a way. So yeah, I do really, really like the lyrics.
It's interesting you say that because I feel like I am normally super critical of like romantic-y lyrics, and will definitely jump to them being creepy, but I didn't actually get that in this song. I think it's because they are so clearly specifically about one person that it feels like a really sweetly like written it feels like something that like one person would say to another person. It's like so specific that it's this one-on-one exchange as opposed to like every breath you take, which is undeniably creepy, but also kind of so generic that it's extra creepy because you don't know who they're talking about.
Right.
Like this very much feels like a really sweetly written love letter to one specific person from their partner.
Yeah.
Where they already know each other to the point where they have the implicit allowance or to be able to be this specific with them.
Right. And speaking about being specific, I forgot to mention this when we came back. I did mention it a little bit in the chat, but we have the wrong, the incorrect thing for the layout.
Oh no!
The song, yeah.
Oh fuck! I forgot to change those. Oh no!
Oh no!
I made
We'll
the
just do a little.
cards.
It's okay.
I
We'll
can
just leave
very
it.
quickly do that. No,
Don't worry about it, Jesse.
No, doing it now.
Okay, we're gonna
doing
be
it
talking
live.
about your song.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about the song.
Okay.
This is a terrifying fish, though. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that, Alexis. Thanks for pointing it.
Yeah. Something that stood out to me was my very, 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 very first impression of the song when I first heard it, and the intro is like this really, pretty sounding. Like it's almost as if like mist is clearing in a way. It's like the song already exists, and like we're like at the outskirts of it, and we're just like being drawn into it. But something about that layering of sounds, I don't know why, it felt like I was about to watch an episode of The Last of Us. It sounded like I was going to be in for something a little bit more sinister. So the fact that it kind of switched up into something extremely romantic was like a whiplash moment for me. But there is like this, I don't know, this sort of like mysterious kind of like unsettling little quality to the beginning first little 2 seconds of the song. I was like, is this The Last of Us?
I didn't catch that at all. It's really interesting that you say that. Because I heard the start of it, and it was like, and maybe you're talking about 2 seconds before I actually like tuned in to start listening to the song.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I'm putting this on my Easy Breezy Sunshine Vibes playlist, which is a playlist that exists. And this feels like it has that similar sound. It's like a more subdued version, but like the Numcha that I brought, I think last season, it's got that kind of guitar sound to it to me that's like, oh, I'm like swaying on a breeze in a hammock after I had a nice big meal at a picnic and it's sunny outside. That's where I went.
Yeah. I feel like perhaps I'm just experiencing like residual anxiety from having experienced The Last of Us. So,
and I have never seen The Last of Us, so maybe I'm just missing the connection.
I've never seen it either. I want to, but I have very little time. Speaking of that sound, I'm not sure what that sort of like metallic droning sound is. I was thinking like maybe it's a saw.
Could be.
But I'm not familiar enough to like know. Like, do either of you have guesses?
I was thinking it was a saw as well, and like I think that's the reason why like Last of Us came to mind, is because in the soundtrack they use like a saw sort of thing for a lot of the ambiance sort of stuff. So yeah.
I didn't catch what you're talking about, so I'll have to listen to it again.
Like during the
Can
sort
you
of
press
droning.
play again? It's the
I
very start,
could.
right?
I can very
Yeah.
it.
well do that.
Do it. Do it.
That part.
It's
And
kind
then,
of like
and then towards the
gnarled.
end, we also have.
I think it's just a synth.
To me, I thought that
the
was
end one's a synth. Okay.
I feel like
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
it's
like
a
maybe
synth.
it's a guitar through guitar pedals.
Maybe.
That's what I'm thinking.
The
Mm.
ending made me think of the chimes at like some church clocks.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Or like clock chimes. That's kind of the do is
Oh.
kind of the tune that they do. There was one in town, in my college town, and so I got really used to hearing it all the time, and that's what that made me think of.
Mm. Although bringing up the ending, sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead.
All right. So I think it's really interesting. Like there's a lot of outro, but then you hear sort of like noises, background noises, as if they're like the band's packing up, and then just this last person with this like synth tone is just like staying there.
Yeah.
Keep playing.
Haunting the venue.
Yeah.
Huh.
Which is, it brings like a sort of like melancholy loneliness, I
Yeah.
think, to it.
Yeah.
Or it's like the band is packing up and allowing the couple to have their alone time.
Aww.
Oh.
Sweet.
You wanted to spin it for a happier vibe.
Yeah.
And maybe
And then
those
they're-
are like church bells, like wedding bells.
Hey baby, me, you, and a saw.
And then
The
the other
title
one
of
looked.
this episode, thank you.
And then they the other one looks to the other one and they're like, I guess we really are the last of us. Sorry.
That's what
Pretty good.
happens.
That's
That's what happens.
good. Yeah.
You figured it out.
We're connecting the universes.
Cracked the code.
But yeah, I think to kind of like go off with what Kay was saying about like what vibe she got and like what kind of music she would pair with it. For me, I don't know why, and I'm probably alone on this, but something about this song, its vibe and its musical presentation reminded me a little bit of Civil Wars. And I feel like they would work so well together on a playlist. Like I really wanted to just like immediately dive deep into Penny and Sparrow's music and you know find the ones that I want to put into a playlist with Civil Wars because I felt like they would fit so well together.
Yeah, I love that band too. So that's very much my jam.
I'm
Makes
so
a lot of
sad they
sense.
broke up before I moved.
Yeah.
Mm.
Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about production a little bit. That like
Mm.
I thought they like I said in my intro, like they put a lot of effort into the production here, and I think it really shows, and like it's masterful. I think even with like the stereo separation of the instruments, like it's laid out in the soundscape like you're live and listening to the band. Which sometimes irritates me if it's like, oh, the guitar is only on this side and not on that side. I'm like, but everything is so well blended together, but also like present, and nothing is like, blurred out. Nothing's falling by the wayside. It's just like it's there if you listen for it. It's not there if you don't, if you're trying to just like chill out, which is like perfect for me.
No disagreement here.
Okay. Well, I put it out there. Done.
Nor do I have anything to add. No, I think it was like sometimes things are so are done so well that they feel natural that it's hard to notice them.
Mm.
And that's what this felt like to me, that like you're right, it was all so smooth that and I was kind of listening closely, although I was a little distracted by the "you sleep with an accent" line and trying to figure out the vibe. But yeah, I still didn't really catch it. I do want to give I did want to mention though that I really love his voice. And I listened to this earlier today first, and it was like not in headphones. And I was like, oh, this is pretty enough, but I really appreciated it hearing it in headphones. Some of the little like it wasn't a lot of them, but some of the little like turns and things that he would do vocally just gave it a little bit of flavor in such a pretty way. It really calming and nice to listen to.
Sometimes he's like breathy and like sultry, and then I really like when he goes into his lower register. Na 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 na. It's like a little darker down there. Yeah, it's like really really good.
Yeah, I think the production is staggeringly beautiful, and that was something that I noticed immediately. And something that I really appreciate was how they achieved how beautiful this production is, and the mixing without. Let me take a step back. I love the choices they made with how they produced and mixed the vocals in particular, because with how like well everything sounds together and everything, the way they managed to make the vocals sound so intimate and not feel like they're kind of on top of everything in a way, I felt like I was really wrapped around the vocals in a way, and it really conveyed that feeling like it's as though this person is talking to me, and I feel like I'm not engaging with a song in a way. So I really loved that execution, how they took this really, really intimate song and allowed that character to stay intimate without, it feeling too overproduced in a way. So yeah, like the work done on it is incredible.
Do you sleep with an accent, Alexis?
I sleep and I have like this thing floating over my head like a Sims jewel, but it's actually just like a little line that that's like the accent line like over an A.
They were singing to you. It's
So
like Z's with little accent marks on them.
So yeah, it's a it is a medical condition, and I probably should get it checked out.
I sleep with an umlaut.
An umlaut?
I don't sleep.
I think we're done with this.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next song. Let's go.
Cool.
Hello. We are listening to music. Get it? Okay, anyway, I'm going to start. So the Footprint Project is the artist that I'm bringing today. They describe themselves as a high-power brass and beats dance orchestra, and they're from Berlin, Germany. The 10-piece band includes drums, beatbox, bass, keys, guitars, vocals, I think woodwinds, and brass, but I had a hard time finding information about them in English, and I couldn't find like a full list of band members very easily. The Footprint Project released their debut album in 2018, and soon after that supported Earth, Wind, and Fire for their German tour dates that same year, which is pretty wild. So the song we're going to listen to today is titled Did I Get You Right? And it's off their May 2022 album, Garden of Opinions, which is a name of an album that I actually really love. I found the song by chance when I was looking for music from a different artist that I saw on TikTok, a whimsical cottagecore duo called Small Fools. And a search on Spotify didn't reveal any official releases from Small Fools, but I did find one of the members' inspiration playlists for their band's sound. I guess they have an upcoming release that isn't out yet. And so I went ahead and listened to their inspiration playlist, and I found some really great tracks, including this one from Footprint Project. And 10 consecutive replays of Did I Get You Right Later, it felt right to share with you all. So let's go ahead and listen to Did I Get You Right by the Footprint Project. Enjoy.
I don't know why, but it stayed on my mind. Hey, did I get you right? Oh, did I get you right? Did I get you right? You were telling me about something I don't understand. You were trying hard to convince me of opinions that I don't comprehend. Can you tell me why? That's your reason for believing you'll get what you need. I don't really know what you're hoping, mind controlling, but it won't work on me. Do you even want to know my perception of what's happening? Or do you just don't care who was about to leave? But then I waited, sat down debating to make you more aware. Did you get me right? I won't let you try to pursue your goal to break me down. Know what you should try. Just once listen, hear what you're missing and what you could have known. The thing is that I don't know you, but realize I don't want to. Won't share your outdated visions. They lead you to bad decisions. I don't know why.
Did I get you right?
You got me right.
Hey.
You got me so right. And that's actually the first thing I had on my notes. It's like, yes, you got me right. You got me right. So funky. Brass orchestra? That's what you said this was?
They call themselves a high-power brass and beats dance orchestra.
Okay, because I kind of get that. Like with that whole like really expansive outro section phase that we got, these multi-layered trumpet or horn things going on, it felt very orchestral. And I was like, whoa, that's really cool.
Well, and a 10-piece is a big group.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it had a very like mid '90s jazz vibe to it. And it's obviously like is jazzy, but like that specific era of jazz to me was like kind of leaping out at me. It reminded me very much of the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack, which I obsessed over in high school. um, but yeah, it's so good, and I also really love how you can just kind of like vibe out to like the steady rhythm, but also like there's so many within those steady, like in between those beats, there's so many polyrhythms and like so many things happening with like the horn lines and all this and like the twinkling piano on top. It's just there's a lot going on, but there doesn't have to be a lot going on in your head when you listen to it.
that outro is almost just straight polymeter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just playing triplets but there's that very consistent, and you kind of lose all other sense of time, but there's that very consistent do 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 happening.
Yeah.
It just does not stop. But it makes it
Dog.
so fun. Hello, dog.
Dog does not like
There's a-
polyrhythms.
Dog does not like polymeter at all.
Nope. You gotta keep
Sorry,
things simple.
dog. Yeah, no. It's I was so glad when this came on that playlist. There were some other really great songs on that playlist, but this was just so cool and so fun to listen to that it really did loop it for a good day.
Okay, can you describe for our audience what a polymeter is? If they
Oh yeah, sure. You have like time signatures, right? And so you have 4/4, 3/4, 5/4, whatever. 4/4 and 3/4 you hear the most often. Think of 3/4 like a waltz. It's probably the best thing to think of that you will think of most frequently. Polymeter is when you put one on top of the other. So you have some people playing, or one voice or multiple voices playing 1 meter, one time signature, and another voice playing a different meter, a different time signature. This may not have been true polymeter. It might have been just triplets, which is when you take what's normally divided into 2 or into 4 and you divide it into 3s instead. I used to be able to do the triplet thing, but I don't have confidence right now in trying to do that for you, so I'm not going to try.
Triplet?
There you go.
Like that thing?
That's not quite right, but yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. There we go.
Yeah.
That sounded more like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I probably should have did like different things, not both of them being snapping. So that
it just sounded like a lot of snapping.
Which is a lot of sound.
Yeah.
Good thing we're not doing straight up podcast anymore, because that would be so
be very confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, you have 1 over top of it.
Yeah.
I think that was not right, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
They're really cool. And
We've
they're
gotten
really
the point. But yeah, I do love that
Mhm.
that outro. I also love the outro, how it kind of like gently sets you back down after that long trumpet solo. It like is kind of easing you back out of the song after you've been in this song, and I think that's a cool effect to have.
fun. Yeah. The outro has a pretty intense build up, and I'm not sure if like intense is the best word for it, but I do feel like as it ramps up and there's this recurring sort of like ending phrase thing that they do once, you know, they reach a cycle of whatever it is that they're repeating. There's like this repeating thing that they end on with like the layer of horns kind of like doing this kind of chord ending thing. So that like lets you know that you've reached the end of the cycle, and then they're going to ramp it up for the next cycle. There is like this intensity because like as the lead trumpet that's doing, or the lead horn that's doing the solo is getting more feverish, the layers are getting more stacked and more stacked, and we get that release at each phrase. Like it does feel pretty intense, at least for me, because like I can feel the energy just rising, and then once it finally ends and then we get the do 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 section, and we're just being like dissipated out. It feels like a release. It feels like a release of tension. So I do like that choice as well, how it ends on that very, very calm, deep deep exhale sort of feeling at the very, very end.
I also like there's so many like changes in mood in the song that are just really great. I think what I would interpret as like an Afro-Cuban sort of bridge happening. Like it happened. It wasn't surprising. Like it was a neat like, oh wow, Afro-Cuban. But like it came in where I thought a bridge was about to happen. So like that wasn't like too shocking. But then like immediately after that bridge, there's just like the trumpet solo starting out really quiet and like kind of reminded me of maybe a bird flying, or like I know that's the image that came to mind. Just kind of flitting around. But so many exciting changes and alterations of mood is just really fun.
Yeah.
It's a
I
long
think
song, actually. It's like it's almost 6 minutes long, but it feels like 4 songs in one.
Which I feel like it's kind of like par for the course with this sort of style of music in a way. That beat switch that happened, it took me by surprise, actually. I wasn't expecting that. And I think maybe it was because like my mental focus was like so latched onto the vocal stuff that was happening, the lyrics. There's a story going on with the lyrics. I think like when we get this sort of jazz fusion funky sort of music, the lyrics have a theme, but usually the lyrics are snippets. They're like meant to be repeated. They're more about like a vibe, and so like they're it's more about hooks and things like that. But this song, like you can kind of clearly tell like there's a kind of like a beginning point and an ending point of like someone getting across this message about this kind of dialogue about opinions and things like that. So I was actually very wrapped into the lyrics and like what was happening, because each verse felt like there was a continuation of the idea. So that was like new to me, because typically it's more like hooks and things like that. So I was like really wrapped into the lyrics, and then when the beat switch happened, like I was like blown away. I was like, whoa, I did not see that coming. It totally took me by surprise. It was really, really cool.
I think what surprised me the most is that it doesn't go back to that A section.
Yeah.
Because we almost had like a chorus hook but it's not lyrics in the trumpet. That trumpet line to me feels like an instrumental hook in a way. And it was a little surprising to me that it's not referenced pretty much at all in the second half of the song. We go into a whole different world and we finish off the song in that world instead.
You're talking about the
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that part.
Oh,
You first.
fight you for it. Talking about the solo, I thought it was funny because I remembered the last show that we did when we had Sam Johnson on. We made a reference at the time to like repeating things until it sounds good, and how that's a thing in jazz, and very much you hear that in this solo. That trumpeter hits that do 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 do, and then it's like that wasn't quite right, and then he just keeps doing it until it sounds like it was intentional, and it may have been intentional all along. Something just fell, but yeah, I thought that was a funny reference to last episode.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like it also worked so well with the way that they were playing as well. Jesse was saying, like, it made him think of like a bird.
Mhm.
And there is this very delicate, very, very soft tone. Even someone in the chat Trick said that this is the calmest, most smooth trumpet. And I agree. And there's like this fluttering quality to that tone that's happening during that section. And I feel like just how beautiful it is. Like you could, it's like you know how you run into those voices where that voice is so like uh enrapturing in a way, where it's like this person can read, you know, the back of a like shampoo bottle, and you're like, I want to listen to this person. I feel like I get that quality from this trumpet. So even if like they made a mistake or whatever, that tone just like feels like it still like grabs your attention. And then hearing that repeating line where it was like that little part where it's like little it's not a triplet, but it's like a 3-note little sequence. It it lends so well to that fluttery sort of tone because it feels like a flap of a wing in a way. So yeah, it worked out really, really well for it. The tone in combination with the repeating little fluttery note sequence.
There are no mistakes in jazz, by the way.
I think that really speaks to the quality of the musicians, the ability of that trumpet player, because I think one of the markers of the difference between like a good musician and a great musician is the ability to not just hit the notes but be expressive and inflective and have a lot of variation in how you can portray those sounds. They did that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point to make too, about the fact that the vocals don't come back after that beat switch.
Yep.
We get them for the first half, and we have like a vocal focused song kind of, and then we get into that beat switch and they don't come back. But I really like the vocalist's tone, but I didn't feel like it was missing something to not have her for the second half, because those trumpet lines and the pianist too, and the way the pianist is playing in the background and all of the weird chords they're hitting. And of course I'm hitting like Dissonance Happiness right now, but trick switch adds, especially being quiet and calm with trumpet is a big skill.
Yeah. Ex trumpet player here can confirm. It's tough.
You broke up with it?
Or did it break up?
We got into a fight. And
who won?
I did. I punched it really good, and now it's all beat up, and I put it in my closet over here. So
you didn't hang it on your wall like people do with antlers from the deer that they kill?
No, not these kinds of horns. Sorry.
Good one.
I'm just imagining a deer with like trumpets on its head.
Yeah. Hilarious.
I had one more note, and that's about the first half of the song. We call it the first half and the second half. And that is, I appreciate all of the things that they do in the background to make the repetition no longer feel like repetition, especially with that instrumental hook that's happening. But really throughout, there's like a drum fill that changes every time it comes back. There's a drum fill there every time, but it's a different drum fill. The pianist is hitting slightly different lines, slightly different chords or voicings every time. And it made it so I could repeat this 6-minute song for an hour straight and not feel like I was listening to a 6-minute song for an hour straight.
Right.
It gives me a similar sense of joy that, like, oh no, I've forgotten the name of the song. Is it 4 a.m. or 2 a.m.? City Pop.
2.
Yes.
Hold on. 4 a.m. 4 a.m. by Teiko Onuki. Which is like another 6 or 7 minute song. If you've never heard it before, it's incredible. I'll post it on our Discord as well. But it made me, it gives me a similar vibe and journey to that song, although much, much chiller than 4 a.m. Despite the time. That's all I have.
Cool. Yeah, the last note that I have, the reason why I felt like, yeah, you got me right with this song was that it reminds me of some bands that I already listened to that I really really enjoy. One of which, this sounds like so much like Snarky Puppy. It has like a very Snarky Puppy feel, and I love that so much, and that made me wonder, is like, do you already have an opinion on Snarky Puppy? Have you listened to them before, or is this sort of like sound only with this band for you? Like, have you only experienced this sort of sound with this band? I'm curious.
I definitely haven't only. I'm checking Spotify right now to see if I've ever listened to Snarky Puppy, because I don't remember. I know that they've been recommended to me before. But I definitely have heard this sound before. I mean, it's just kind of jazz, right? It's just like modern-ish funky jazz. I don't have an opinion on Snarky Puppy at the moment, and I don't remember how to check if I've ever listened to them.
Well, they are pretty
wasn't
snarky,
helpful.
so just be ready to deal with that.
You'll have to send me some Snarky Puppy.
Yeah, for sure. I think like Snarky Puppy is, I feel like for me, the similarities when I was listening to this was mostly in the like the arrangement of instruments, not the execution of them. I think the arrangement and to some extent the execution is very similar. So if like you like what's happening here instrumentally, there chances are there's going to be overlap with Snarky Puppy. But I think like as a I think there is like a difference with like what Snarky Puppy does, at least from what I can tell with this one song from this band, which this is the only experience I have, but like this feels more vocal. English is tough today. It feels more vocal driven,
focused.
Yeah, vocal driven. Where Snarky Puppy does have songs that have lyrics or singers and things like that, but I would say like the ratio is probably like 1-4 for their catalog, where it's one part you get vocal songs, the other 3-4 is mostly instrumental. So like people who like what they're hearing here and want more of it somewhere else probably aren't going to get it from Snarky Puppy. At least I'm just taking a guess here, because if they like the vocal aspect of this, they will get it at Snarky Puppy, just not as often. So maybe they won't vibe as much with Snarky Puppy because it's more instrumentally focused. The songs are like 6 to 7 minutes long on average. So it's like, am I going to be up for that all the time with Snarky Puppy? But like, if you like this kind of like jazz fusion, funky sort of stuff, Snarky Puppy is not like too dissimilar to
Dusty Bot says on Discord, I've never listened to Snarky Puppy. So
Okay.
I also just want to keep saying Snarky Puppy.
Yeah.
They did a really good job picking their band name based on what is most fun to say out loud.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my whole little Snarky Puppy note here. I'll share a song in the Discord so y'all can see.
Just make sure when you send that Snarky Puppy, you poke holes in the box so it can breathe.
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe muzzle it if it's too snarky. We don't want to get bit when we open it.
Freight train it a bit. All right, are we good?
Add some puppy pads. Jesse, you have anything else?
Nope. I loved it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I did listen to their full album, although for I think the second time, one time I was working, I wasn't really listening to it, but I listened to all of Garden of Opinions earlier this weekend.
Sweet.
And it's a almost an hour long album. This was definitely my favorite song off of it, which I was thankful for. What is wrong with your face, Jesse?
I listened to Olive Garden of Opinions.
Wow, I didn't catch that, but yeah, you're right.
I got free breadsticks while I was listening to it. They were unlimited. So it's an hour long with unlimited breadsticks, and this definitely ended up being my favorite song, which is actually kind of good because I was really worried I was going to find one I liked more and then regret having chosen this song for it. But it was really nice to listen to. It has very much a similar vibe. Some things are a little bit more experimental, perhaps, than this song is. So check out Garden of Opinions and Footprint Project.
Mhm.
And Snarky Puppy and Olive Garden if that's your thing.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Hello. And if you are just now tuning in, we already listened to Jesse and Kay's song. Kay is busy doing all this. So if you'd like to hear their songs, do check them out. And now we've made it to mine. Okay. Well, there's not a whole lot to introduce for Nick Weber, the artist that I'll be sharing with you today, because there's not a whole lot out there about Nick Weber, at least not from what I could uncover. And it definitely wasn't for a lack of trying. My search did lead me to a Nicholas Weber, who was a bit more out there themselves, which coincidentally got me really interested in their music and related projects. So thank you, Nick, for exposing me to them, which I probably wouldn't have otherwise. I did contemplate reaching out to Nick on their Bandcamp, but ultimately decided not to. I really didn't want to bother them out of the blue, and I also wanted to keep a bit of mystique about the music as well. So, Nick, if you're watching or listening, hi, hello. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for sharing your music, and I hope you're okay with the liberty I took to let the music speak for itself this go around, as I felt it more fitting to present the audience all the nothing that I know. Nick Weber is a musician, an artist, even a person. I find a hard time believing otherwise after listening to this debut album, at least debut for this project or that we know of. I always got the feeling that we can't always take things by their appearances. So at least this is the debut album for Nick that I'm aware of. It was released on March 7th this year, which I took to work with me the day after, and its atmosphere has been on my mind constantly ever since. The year has just started, and I'm already quite convinced that this will be one of my, if not favorite, discoveries of the year. The album feels like a sojourn into places I've never been to, but are so richly retold through words and sounds that I feel like I'm able to temporarily exist in these places and memories and emotions that Nick takes us from one stop to the next. Accompanying us on this journey are things you'd be no stranger to when it comes to folk music. So you'll encounter things like the pluck of a guitar, the swaying slides of pedal steel, gentle murmurs, not of accented sleep, but gentle murmurs of piano, or the solid foundations of a bass guitar. However, this is much more than just a typical folk affair, as it's more than just the parts that make the music, and rather how Nick paints these emotional landscapes and monuments for us to visit as the space of looming darkness, uncertainty, and the eventuality of elucidation creates this distinct atmosphere like a personal bubble on the verge of bursting that I have not been able to get out of my mind ever since my first visit. While I've had some ideas in my head that congeal my interpretations of these sounds into something to give others a reference point to what kind of music this is, I won't attempt that and instead let Nick's own words do that. He described his music as post-folk suburban psalms. And this collection of his brand of post-folk suburban psalms were written and recorded mostly in his bedroom in Colorado in the span of 6 or so months from the autumn of 2021 and through the ensuing winter. The purpose? Nick states simply, this album is a document of a few years in limbo. It's quite a lot of time to compact into just a brief window of writing and recording. I'm curious to hear if you out there can feel this in the music or what hints of post-folk suburban psalms you get from it. Without further ado, we'll tread into Nick's world and his song Ghost Variations. Enjoy.
forgotten how to pray. I don't know how to talk to you. And at the end of the day, baby, I just don't want to. So here goes nothing. How am I supposed to love you? Complete seek and knock, and somehow still I never find. The candle flickered out, the shadows grew. I fell into the empty tomb of all I thought I knew. Did I ever hear a word? I know that I am just some kid picking up shells on the shore of your ocean. I hold each one to my ear and listen closely for a sign of your devotion. But I still haven't heard a How am I supposed to love you? I plead, seek, and knock, and somehow still I never find. The candle flickered out, the shadows grew. I'm running through your garden, screaming, where the hell are you? Did you ever hear a word? Weeping, trembling, people say speak. Do you have something you would like to say to me? Read your black book, song words stripped with red. Maybe I mistook you for someone in my head. Maybe it's a demon, or maybe it's my mind. Maybe it's both at the same time. It might be, the streaks of sorrow. So many voices, which one do I trust the How am I supposed to love you?
Well, did any of you ever hear a word?
One or two in that song.
At least two, maybe even
Yeah.
three.
Yeah, I think where I want to kind of like get us started here, I feel like Nick really provides us a great, place for a lot of us to like relate on, with this song. When, he said, "I'm running through your garden screaming, 'Where the hell are you?'" I feel like we've all had that experience of running through the garden and screaming, where are you? Where are you? Like
That's me when I'm gardening and I drop one of my earbuds out of my ear.
yeah.
I have been there.
It's a very relatable feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that like the song really captures that. And is not ashamed to like, express that, moment of panic, that danger. What's it? Danger opportunity? Yeah.
Good callback.
Yeah. I feel like actually there's like so much to say about the song, and I don't want to like direct the conversation, so I'll let y'all share, I guess, your first impressions or whatever it is on your mind that you want to talk about first.
This game.
Okay, I'll go. That wasn't hard. I loved this so much. It was like it felt good. Like it's a definite journey. Very much an Alexis song. It was. It actually reminded me a lot of the Oli song that I brought
Yes,
for your birthday.
exactly.
Yeah. Just like the swells of emotion, the building, and that like crescendo at the end with where everything's going on, and then it quiets down, and you feel like soft and contemplative, and it was just so like cathartic, really. At the end,
Yeah.
and it starts out like kind of normal, like indie folk sort of deal, but it's just like, oh, there's like it keeps going. There's more. There's more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that vibe that it has just up until I think that big build where it becomes almost like a rock song for a split second there, made me feel like it could be on a playlist with the oh no, I'm out of order. The song I brought I think 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, it felt like it even that the iMessage was the song that I brought before.
Right.
But even that rhythm that starts to happen, that sounds like drumsticks being hit on something, reminded me of the texting rhythm in iMessage. I was drawing a lot of, which is a huge compliment. I love that song, but I was drawing a lot of comparison there. I was like, these would be great on a playlist together, but it would feel a little jarring to go from that big heavy rock build to little iMessage.
Yeah.
You talk about those sounds. Sorry.
Go ahead.
But something that really impressed me was that just how many different instruments were pulled into this song. I pretty much lost count. And even more impressive that this is like a bedroom production. Like how many instruments is he playing? And it's to the point where I'm just imagining like what would this look like if you're in the mixing and mastering phase. Like how many layers would that be? Like it almost becomes like the same complexity as an EDM composition. But it's all acoustic instruments, and it's wild to me. And more on the bedroom part. Like the very beginning, you hear that sort of like lo-fi fuzz, that I thought might be tape, but if this is like tape recording, but if it's bedroom production, that could be a plugin, but also maybe like a really hot mic that like the gain is like a touch too high, but then it's so clear when the guitar comes through and the vocals, and it's just like very precise, very present recording. Like the quality of recording, despite like I would have just assumed this was in a professional recording studio,
Right.
based on how clean it is. And even just like the guitar when it starts out, like I kind of lose track of it when all the other stuff gets added in, but the guitar is in stereo. which means that they have a two
Mhm.
mic setup. Like there's probably one near the hole and there's one near the top, and but so that like as he's moving his hands over the guitar, like it moves stereo in your ears, and that was like
Mhm.
really kind of magical too.
Yeah.
On the number of instruments, looking at his Bandcamp page, it has all the credits for all of the studio musicians.
Mhm.
Studio being, I guess, mostly his bedroom. It says mostly in his bedroom. So, there are no other credits on this track. So I think it is all him.
Mhm.
It says vocals, guitars, keys, synths, banjo, sax, and programming are credited to Nick. And that is really incredible.
Yeah. So much stuff happening,
So much
instrumental
stuff.
wise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I trying to remember what you said, so I'm not forgetting something.
There were a few words.
Yeah, at least a
Did
few
you hear
words.
them?
Yes. Yeah, and what I was realizing with this listen through was how much similarities we have with this song and the songs that we listen to today. This song, referencing a garden, we just came from the Garden of Opinions. But not just that, um, Garden of Opinions, or Got You Right.
Did I get you right?
Did I get you right? That song, what we noticed was like how there's like two halves of a song in a way, where we have like the vocal half and then the outro kind of like instrumentally thing. That's really cool. I feel like this song also has two halves in a way, and I think finding those two halves are pretty easy, just sound wise. But I think like I was able to find another distinction between these two halves, rather than just like the sound palette is more um acoustic and intimate sounding on the first half, which is the beginning half with like the the acoustic guitar, and then the second half is like that more moodier synth sort of thing going on that eventually builds into that rock sort of crescendo. Um, the two halves of this song, and I'm curious to hear like what your interpretation of this is. I feel like the first half, which is everything before the line "Did you ever hear a word?" So like everything before that, those verses, the "God, I've forgotten how to pray," "How am I supposed to love you?" I know that I'm just some kid, and he's like talking about being at the ocean and getting the seashells. Um, all that, all that of the first half of this song, when I listen to it and when I'm like reading these lyrics, the way these lyrics are written and the way that they're uh expressed and sung, it feels very much like the lyric writing of like worship songs. And this album has a very strong sort of religious theme of like Nick presumably, and their like struggles with religion, or spirituality. I don't want to like unpack that too deeply because I don't know them personally, so I don't know if like this is just for the purpose of the album, or if this is autobiographical in a way. But like clearly, like every single song almost has some sort of reference to spirituality and a conflict with it, or a struggle with it, and feeling like this aimlessness with it. Um, but when I look at that and I look at these lyrics, at least for the first half of the song, like I think about like contemporary Christian music, or the types of songs that people sing during worship. Like the way the lyrics are structured just feels very much like that style of lyric writing. And then the second half feels more of like an alternative, almost like emo sort of writing style, where it's like the verses are shorter, the sentences are shorter, they're less there's less prose in a way. And I found that really fascinating. I was wondering if like maybe this is some sort of duality of like his position with like the spirituality that he's struggling with. Like one side of him is showing that rooted, grounded sense of like with his spirituality and worship, that or like his background with like worship music or the church and things like that, and the other half is his other half of his life that isn't that. So that's something that I kind of like picked up, and I was wondering if like, do either of you have like an interpretation of that at all?
I
Um,
do, but Jesse's raising his hand.
I think it's really interesting that you bring up worship music. I'm not an expert. I've never
Mhm,
attended the sort of church that has that sort of music, and
mhm,
I'm a very secular person right now.
mhm,
Is all I'll say about that. But I have heard some recent worship music, just in passing and through podcasts. But to me, while you say the lyrics at the beginning, the first half are very worship musicy, to me the soundscape of the last half is very much what I would associate with
mhm.
modern worship music, which I think is
Yeah,
really interesting.
yeah.
Um, and I'll just like a tiny nitpick is like I think I would maybe break it into three sections.
Mm,
That like at least I'm not sure how it tracks with the lyrics, but in terms of the instrumentation, to me there was like the first part which is like very like folk indie, and then there's this like my one of my favorite moments in the song is there's this crackle that they bring
mm,
in, and then there's like
yeah.
a like heavy guitar chord, and
Yes.
then they bring in more instruments. Like that's like a middle third, and then you've got like the part towards the end where it just like builds and builds and builds and builds.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear that. I felt like rather than there's definitely that distinct line though.
Mhm,
I think if it's part 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, that distinction is really clear. Whereas
mhm,
maybe the earlier distinction is more of like a sub part.
mhm,
Um, Lyrically though, for sure, it's split into two, and I definitely hear I'm also a secular person, and I love that description as a human, but as a fellow human with Nick Weber, I should say. But I live in the South, and so I definitely hear that structure that you're talking about, Alexis, and that
mhm.
first half with it. It does feel like a sort of kumbaya, everybody sing along type
Mhm. Yeah.
song that you might hear. I lost my train of thought.
Oh.
Oh, I was going to say, but I also think this song is maybe a journey through, it's like a summary of
Mhm.
his journey, maybe
Right.
um, through his religion or spirituality that
Mhm,
we're getting from the start, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then it kind of
mhm.
lyrically, and I think it's shown in that build toward this more, dare I say, angsty sound that we get
Yeah.
to kind of toward the end.
Yeah.
Um, it started off on this like, well, maybe it's just me, and then it's like sort of becoming frustration, and then it's like you're going through all the stages of grief in some
Mm,
way.
mhm.
And by the end you're getting into this idea of like maybe I don't want to pursue this goal
Mhm.
of religion or spirituality that
Right.
I was struggling with at the start, and have maybe come to the conclusion that it's not for me. And
Mhm,
that's trying to put it nicely, but that's kind of what I
mhm.
got from it. And I think you hear that as it builds. It starts as this sort of sweet folky sound, and then is
Mhm,
building toward this like conclusion of being unhappy
mhm.
with the religion or
Mm.
whatever it is that he's seeking
Right.
for.
Right.
Hmm. He or they. Do we
Mm,
do we know Nick's pronouns, or are we just
don't.
okay? I'm gonna use both.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, and I think I feel like I'm very similar on that wavelength with you on that feeling of that journey of this song. And um it I feel like it does like put into perspective the the way that he describes the music as
Hmm.
post folk suburban psalms. And I feel like maybe that's it makes me feel like, this is probably really close to being maybe the real folk blues, as a
Callback.
yeah, you know that's a very niche sort of departure of that genre of folk. And I feel like this is also doing something similar, where
Hmm.
it's an amalgamation of various things. And I feel like it lends itself well to what's happening musically and narratively with the lyrics as well.
I think it really does.
Mm.
And the lyrics are really straightforward. There was no question what Nick meant in pretty much any of these. As opposed to where we started today with Jesse's song.
Yeah.
One more thing I'd like to add, non sequitur, is I really loved I love the crescendo, like conclusion part at the end, but I also really loved what it did as it was like transitioning to like the very end of it, where there were like these chiptune arpeggios going on, and it reminded me very much of have you seen Perks of Being a Wallflower, the movie?
Not yet.
Okay, well, it's really I enjoy it a lot. But there's this one scene where they're going through like this tunnel, like, and there's like all these lights around them, and they're just like strobing over them, and like their arms are out and they're enjoying life and stuff. And there's a song called, I believe, Everything is Infinite, and it's just that sort of feeling of like being infinite, and like experiencing everything and like being alive, but then also like, you know, all the lyrical content as well. It's kind of wrapped underneath that is interesting.
Yeah, and I think that feeling in that sound palette that you're highlighting here happens several times throughout the album. So if that is something that is like you enjoy or that you enjoyed from this song, you know, there is assurance there that you will get to experience it again. And this album is definitely crafted as like this kind of overarching journey as well, story wise and sound palette wise. So I think it's like really natural to expect that what happens here on this song is kind of like just one part of the puzzle piece of the greater whole.
Is it like the executive summary?
In a way, yeah, I think so. It's like the forward of a book.
Song. Yeah.
And I had something else in mind. What was it? Man. There was something I wanted to mention. Hold on. I got this.
I got something if you need to fill space.
Sure. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. So another part that I really, really enjoyed was there was this transitional part where like there was whispering, like it got quiet and there's like whispering in the background, and then the vocals went kind of lo-fi and fuzzy. And that kind of gave me like a contemplative feel, like, oh, they're thinking to themselves during these lines. Rather than like talking to another person.
That's right after Did You Ever Hear a Word, right?
I think so. And
I took the whispering as the words that he was saying that he didn't feel like were being heard.
Oh, that's another. Yeah, that's interesting.
And then the like lo-fi vocals, like as a, to me it was like a portrayal of that angst.
That is making me very interested to re-examine this song. I did remember the thing that I wanted to ask. So something that stood out to me, and I feel like it kind of happens on this song, but I think as I went through the album, that feeling just kept getting more and more, and I was wondering if either of you felt this at all. There's something about Nick's singing and some moments of his like color of his voice and the way that they use it. Did either of you get this feeling that it sounded sort of reminiscent, or at least it reminded you of Conan Gray? Like at all?
I like am not familiar enough with Conan Gray's voice for that to.
Okay. I'm curious if like other people that listen,
audience,
watch,
tell us in the comments.
Yeah, because I feel like, man, it's like something that reminds me of like Conan Gray, and I was like, am I just crazy here? but yeah, like Conan Gray is definitely like blowing up. So I think like he's a voice that you know, people have a very clear memory of if you do listen to him. So I wonder if like people will be like, whoa, like that reminds me of Conan Gray as well. So yeah, I'm interested in hearing about that.
About the vocals, what I do have in my notes is that the vocal tone is very like delicate and expressive and soft and vulnerable, which like really adds to the lyrical content as well. It's just like gives you those feelings, even if you, because I don't think I was paying that much attention to the lyrics the first couple times I listened to this, and it was just, but I still felt the emotions of the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're
A
correct
Conan Gray
then.
comparison, I assume. You are
Oh, no!
Fuzz.
We hear you. Does the audience hear you? I don't know. Oh, I don't think Alexis is hearable to the stream right
Oh
now.
no. Alexis is lost. Do we
Refresh
need to wrap
maybe,
up the song?
Alexis?
Okay.
Technical difficulty.
Tell a joke. Yay!
He's back.
No time for a
Hello.
joke. Alexis, tell a joke.
Tell a joke. Okay.
Quick one.
What did the dog say when it went to the shopping center?
Woof.
You're right. You get a cookie. Tornado in a Jar says, I have left a chat, which they are
You are back though.
unfortunately correct, but only momentarily. I can't, I'm trying to pop out the thing. Pop out, picture in picture. Okay, there we go. Anyways, I did have something I wanted to bring up, which is, to kind of like bounce off of one of Jesse's points, which was, the mastering and the production and all that stuff. Being impressed that this is a mostly bedroom sort of thing. I did look into like the notes for who worked on this, and we have credited here Sam Rosen. I don't know. I apologize if I'm getting this pronouncing this incorrectly, but Sam Rosen, and they have like their website linked for their work, and I looked through their work, the person who mastered this, and there's like a lot of like notable projects that this person has worked on. This person has worked on an album, the debut album from Sydney Sprague, which is this really cool up and coming singer songwriter that I'm enjoying. He did engineering and production work for her. He did engineering and additional production for a band called Pool Kids, which is this amazing like pop punk, aggressive sort of pop punk, like edgier pop punk sort of sound that reminds me of like first album of Paramore. So really great stuff that came out last year, and I really loved that album. He also worked with Phoebe Bridgers with this like little side project that she did called Killer in the Sound, which is gorgeous. And he also worked with like really notable bands like Pedro the Lion, which was their recent album, and I'm going to see Pedro the Lion like 3 weeks from now, which I'm really excited for. And he's also worked with like Death Cab for Cutie. He did like some of like their acoustic EPs and things like that. So not just like one thing with Death Cab for Cutie, like he did like a handful of stuff with them. So if you are like liking what you're hearing of just the production side of things with this project from Nick, check out Sam, who worked on this project, because looking through his portfolio, like he's worked with like a lot of different people in a lot of different genres, and it seems like this person really can capture the essence that you're looking for. So yeah, that was really, really cool.
Although I think the mixing was all Nick, and then the mastering,
The mastering,
final step of the
right,
process, which is important,
It
and
very
is
important.
like helping
Yeah.
a lot with the polish, probably. But
Yeah.
And that also says a
Cool.
lot too. I think the how good Nick is that someone
Mhm.
who's that established is interested in working with them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm.
that like there's so much potential for their career in the future just based on like how good this music is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't have anything else.
Me either.
Anything else about the artist?
I mean, I don't really know a whole bunch because there's not a whole lot out there. But
Listen to his album.
yeah, listen to the album. Like the album's great. I would say, I would preface it with, just giving you a heads up. It's a bit of a downer. It's a heavy album from start to finish. So you kind of have to be in a mood for it. I'm just someone that really likes this sort of music, so I can just chill out to this music, even though it's pretty heavy. The themes are pretty heavy. The sentiments are, not very bright, but I would say they're not like dark and pessimistic. So it's not like they're going to be like negative influences, but it's more of like you feel like you have company in, kind of like angstier moments, which I think like leads to like really gorgeous, sounds and songs. So that's what you're gonna get here. A lot of folky stuff too. So if you like folk, just in general, you'll really enjoy this album. But I will just say I will preface it with that it's a bit of a downer though. So just have that expectation. Yeah, thank you for listening to his music, and thank you for listening to us ramble about his music. This was a lot of fun. That's a
Outro.
callback.
Outro.
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 We're so sophisticated.
Mm.
Can we get an anime closer?
An
I
anime closer.
kinda-
We had an anime intro. Can we get an anime outro?
Nani?
Dang. I'm not ready for
Oh no,
this.
the inspiration's gone.
And
I'm trying to think of like the usual stuff that we say.
anime
Uh,
outros
It's
tend to
okay.
be a lot of like staring off into the distance while like sad music
Yeah.
plays and there's rain in the background.
Uh-huh.
Quick, play the next song on the album.
It is pretty somber. But yes, thank you for tuning in. We had a great time talking about music. If you like music, and if you want to hear more of us rambling about music, then please subscribe. And if you don't like that, I don't know why you would subscribe. But if you do like the things that we're doing, share it to other people. That really helps us out. And we would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Like
you.
the bad dub of the 15-year-old boy character. I love it. Thank you.
Believe it.
Believe it.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.